I also have V, as we are getting ourselves underway as well. The recording has started, so just be aware that your voice can be picked up and will be transmitted. Thank you, Niam. Alrighty. As we are getting ourselves underway for Game 2, Game 1 was an absolute cult classic. 3-round extravaganza on Hell's Heaven. This time, it is Nerd Asian with the map pick. They select Celestial Husk. If we do end up having a third round, or a third game rather, it will be on the Royal Palace. Excuse you me. Goodness. As I am wondering, and I am excited to see if there are any strategy switch ups here from these teams. I mean, band hero now as well. Just a reminder for anybody that might be watching from home that does not have the context. Doctor Strange, Devil Dino, Black Cat, Cyclops, Daredevil, and Elsa Bloodstone, as well as Gambit, are all automatically banned this season, as they've seen it once, and that's enough. No more Spider-Man for Penguin this game. They are going to save the Emma as well. That is kind of a forced save. I wonder if we see a save for a Phoenix or a Punisher. They're saving Bucky? Saving Bucky! That has to be a misclick. That has to be a misclick. That's crazy. 'Twas a misclick is the call. That's really unfortunate. We've seen this team has had so much time to get themselves ready and prepared. And they save the Bucky. They save the Bucky. I mean, obviously, Corrin, comfortable on the Winter Soldier. Who's the save here? Iron Fist. I mean, save Thing, surely, to help deal with the Iron Fist, although Iron Fist has been ripping through Thing as a counter. Iron Fist does not have many counters in the 3v3 format at the very least, given how much self-sustain he has, and given his flexibility in terms of he can block poke, he can play dive, he can play brawl, he can play anti-brawl, he can play anti-poke. Can't quite play anti-dive, but can do a pretty damn good impression. Now, the Celestial Husk, the real question is who is that going to favor? As we've got a triple DPS ban for Penguin. His Spidey, his Phoenix, his Punisher all get banned. We're going to see DPS pool Emma and not Gambit. I know that for sure. Because if they step out on Gambit, I'm going to give it an immediately end match. That's what I thought. And these look like a couple of very exciting teams to be facing off in a round one here. As we will see these teams getting themselves ready for the Celestial Codex to begin with. This is a map filled with the symbiote goo. All of the Clintar maps are such a gorgeous environment. In spite of the evil connotations here, the Codex, a very interesting and very unique point. It stands out amongst most of the points in the game, given that it is, oh, stuttering now, that it is so open and yet so enclosed simultaneously. So we will see these teams have to adapt and learn from all of those factors as we are underway with Game 2 of this qualifying Final 1. Invis, DPS pool, and Emma facing off against Luna, Bucky, and The Thing. Emma into The Thing is going to be a matchup heavily favoring this Mutant Frost, but Corrin wants to bait out, it almost feels like, the Bucky in return from Rocky, as Gloomy immediately in Struggle Town without the White Fox available to them, does get low, doesn't have the teleport to save them, and here comes the thing, flying in with a Haymaker, not quite going to be enough to get a pick, but it is going to be enough to nearly get them the point, as Emma on the point does get the stun on the thing. A hook from Corin does get the pick in on Rocky, as the point's still in contention, but a double KO here for Corin as the final hit of that fight falls to Penguin. How many lives until dual pool is retired is going to be the key question, because you just know that Rocky is going to be itching for the... Sorry, am I interrupting? The Bucky Ditto into Corin. And the question is Corin going to be good enough to not only match him, but to scare him off of it? Luna just a little bit low in the backline, has to self-flake to give herself a bit of self-sustain here. Rocky looking for the flank as Emma's pushing down main here. Does get in, does get the pick on their support as well, with the invincibility to give him not only extra upgrades, which he'll be able to use shortly, but also extra stall for the enemy team trying to pick him off. Gloomy, I mean, the self-shield's so valuable. I wonder if we're going to see potentially a Jeff pick here from Miku to buff up her survivability. The ult advantage, though, firmly in the hands of one Mr. Cool Math Games, as he's got nearly an entire Bucky ult on charge here. That Q just itching, waiting to get deployed, as Rocky trying to play off this flank, taking the off angles, but Taru has to play very safe, keeping his team name in mind. Corin gets the pick in on Gloomy, does pop the ultimate, does manage to hit Rocky with it. Is he going to be able to get the pick? Yes, he is. Does get the reset, does manage to get the reset again onto Taru. Is he going to push up and try and force it? No, he isn't. Gloomy just going to play it invisible. They do have the ultimate on board, does Gloomy, but Miku nearly with an answer of their own. 42% and counting for Nerd Nerdation. 38, all the keep yourself safe is able to manage before the Bucky ult pops out. Both DPS now on 0%, although as we know, Rocky playing a DPS with a very unique ultimate mechanic. Same with his main in the Bucky with the ultimate reset, although not unique anymore, given that Black Cat has a similar mechanic as of now, as we do see the thing rocking in, pun intended, on this backline. DPS pool struggling to get a ton of value in. Got pressure, but not value, as Corin pushing in on this main flank does get very, very low. Miku might need to pop the ultimate here to keep him alive. Doesn't pop it. That's potentially a game-losing decision, as Penguin is in and on and does get the pick in on their support. Taru very low, doesn't have the HP to contest here, and even though Corin is on reset and on the cooldown, it's going to be just Rocky with no ultimate charge available, trying to get a pick in on the support, and does get frozen. What a freeze from Miku! Oh my goodness. That freeze might have just won them the game, as Gloomy is going to have to get in and push, but I don't think the Gloomy on Invis is fast enough, and I don't think they are. And they're going to just give it. And first round, Nerd Asian. My goodness. My goodness. What a round there from Nerd Asian. Once again, starting us off strong. But Gloomy with a support ult. Emma ult for Taru. Corin does have 50% of a Bucky ult, but you want to know who else has 50% of a Bucky ult? It is Rocky himself. Now, this map very much favoring the thing, in my opinion, over Emma. It's quite enclosed for a majority of it, and it's got one of those points, kind of like the Odin's Archive, where the main area that you are directed to is actually a floor above where the objective is. It's a drop-down point with a ton of enclosed corridors. That's going to give a ton of value to a brawl type of comp. And in fact, it is going to give a ton of value to a brawl comp. I think Rocky's identified that, as he's going to be hopping out on Iron Fist. I don't know how effective that's going to be into both a Bucky and a Thing, especially considering that Luna has the ability to counter dive with the Snowball. I wonder if Gloomy looking to play that Luna Snow after using the ultimate, potentially a smart choice to keep the ult econ in their favor. As immediately blocking heals is Emma. Does try and get in and dive this lineup, as Miku does manage to get the freeze onto Rocky, not able to hit the health pack, although Thing able to get their support as well in return, and it's just... Miku survived that? Hello? Hang on. What the fuck did I... No, I'm going back. How the fuck did Miku survive that? Miku survives it by clapping, self-flaking, and getting out. This is one of the Jesus. This is one of the best supports we have seen play this game. Miku is fucking insane and forces Rocky to switch Bucky. He loses the ult that he had built that fight. Holy shit. I tapped off because I had assumed that Miku was gonna fucking die. And no, I see Rocky running away from the Luna on Iron Fist. What a decision. And what a players. I mean, Corrin has to contend now with the Bucky in return. Taru does get the heals here, but Miku, enough pressure. Gloomy, enough pressure from Penguin. They do fall there. Probably an overdive from the Monkey Brains. But that is all good, as they do have a significant advantage now in terms of ultimates overall. They've nearly got Bucky to match Invis. They've nearly got Thing to match Bucky, but they have about 30% more ultimate from Miku than they do on Taru's ultimate here, and that's just growing as Corrin finally does have an ultimate of his own. Penguin building his as well. Cool math. Just getting ready to play it in. Not quite able to. Penguin does dive quite aggressively and baits out Bucky's ultimate from Rocky. Does get stunned there. Is he going to get picked? I don't think he is. The heal's going to be enough to save him, as we're going to see the counter ultimate from Corrin as he baits out the Lunar ultimate. That's perfect. Popsian does manage to get it, as we're going to get a Lunar ult to force this team to dive in. Corrin trying desperately to get the reset. Not going to be able to do it, but Penguin managing to get this support. Corrin able to get the Bucky diff, and even though they get to 50% ultimate, it's going to be Nerd Asian with not only the point capture, as Penguin struggling to figure out what an elevator is like, but they also have the ultimate advantage as Penguin the only ult on board. Now, granted, they do have both a Bucky and an Emerald nearly on deck again, as Bucky, one of their heroes that just farms the fuck out of his DPS ultimate. It is insane to be seeing, but if Nerd Asian is able to get this, they'd be forcing a game 3 off of only a 2-round fight, as Penguin does find Gloomy in the backline, does force her to back up, does Penguin, but he's overextended. Corrin manages to get the pick onto Rocky. This might be the key pick. I have no idea how that missed either, Corrin. Don't get me wrong, as he's just trying to find out where this support is, not able to identify that, as Gloomy has to let Taru die, and Rocky's going to have to push in 80%. We're past that 75% mark. Penguin just trying to stay up to stall, it looks like, but no, the call from his team going to be to stay back, as Rocky just farming the ultimate here. He's going to have to use it if he wants to get in. Gloomy looking to stall on the point, as Rocky once again gets picked off by Corrin. Gloomy's on the point, does force the OT, but it's literally just going to be Taru trying to 1v3. I don't think it's even worth it. I don't think it's even worth it. But Taru does get in and on, tries to solve for as much time as possible, but immediately Miku with that pick there, and that is going to be game 2 straight on to Nerd Asian. I'd like to say, before we go on, and before I ask if this team is ready to continue, that in preliminary final 1 between HHQ and Team Fish, game 1 was a Team Fish win, but in that game it was HHQ, Team Fish, Team Fish. Game 2 was 2 games to HHQ, and game 3, HHQ won in 3 rounds. In this one, Nerd Asian won round 1 of game 1 and lost the next 2 for game 1 for Keep Yourself Safe to get that win, and they've won this game 2-0. If history repeats itself, then we are in for a fantastic game. That is it for this one. I'm going to quickly check that these teams are ready for a game 3 of this qualifying final, and holy shit, I'm excited. See ya.